Hi, I'm Ray Salisbury, photography tutor from Nelson, New Zealand, one of the most beautiful nations on the planet. I've been shooting the spectacular scenery of our compact country since I was a kid. Today I shoot images for stock libraries and magazines. I love getting away from the frenetic pace of urban living into the wilderness. Photographing the landscape puts me right in the zone where I feel alive, where I can follow my creative instincts and craft some stunning compositions. Come with me, look over my shoulder as I explore our most iconic locations and strive to create original images. Find out what camera settings to use for each location and what filters you need. Learn how to edit your shots in Photoshop like a pro, so you feel good about your photography. Join me on my journey in search of the perfect photo. In this episode, Ray shares his secrets about planning a location shoot before heading off on an adventure to a local lighthouse, where he indulges in some epic landscape photography. Now, the key to success in this genre of photography is mitigating the chances of failure. The most arbitrary factor that affects your photo shoots is the weather. And here in New Zealand, with a maritime climate, the weather is really fickle. We can get 4 seasons in one day. Now, here's 5 tips for you to help with your planning. Firstly, check the weather forecast. Secondly, look at the tide charts if you're shooting on the coast. Thirdly, check the photographer's ephemeris to see where and when the sun will rise or set and what angle will the light hit your subject matter. Next, look at a topographic map and estimate the time it will take you to drive and walk to the location. Finally, you need to pack your gear. Clean your filters and lenses, charge your batteries, get some warm clothing, and don't forget to pack some food and drink. Well, I've made it to the Boulder Bank Scenic Reserve. It's time to get our boots on. After about an hour's gravel bash, I passed the shag tree. Oyster catchers screeched their disapproval of my intrusion. I pressed on. The relentless pounding of my leather boots on the rocks caused my feet to scream blue murder, so I enjoyed a well-earned rest. There's half a dozen rustic batches here on the Boulder Bank, though there's usually no one home. I filled up my water supply here and kept moving. Well, I eventually made it to the lighthouse on the Boulder Bank. It took over 3 hours because I was carrying all that camping and video gear in a heavy pack. And I'm pretty excited because I've been here 3 times before, usually in the dark, in a rush to take photos in the golden hour. But this time, I've got the key So let's go inside. Rightio, the end of the golden hour is here. I've spent about 1 hour scouting around this part of the Boulder Bank for suitable composition. I've tried to shoot across the water to the lighthouse, but the sun on the rocks went. I've tried to shoot from further back, but the shots just were too wide and the lighthouse just looked too puny and small. So I've used my feet, I've gotten really close to the lighthouse now, and I've got it breaking the horizon really nicely. The sun's almost gone, so we better get shooting. Now, I think this composition works, even though the lighthouse is bang in the middle. It's a clear focal point. It's got a lovely lead-in line over here with the light on the rocks of the Boulder Bank leading nicely around to the sea. And then the sea and the horizon naturally lead to the lighthouse, the obvious focal point. Good morning. Had a sleepless night in the tent with the wind flapping and the noise of the ports over there making all sorts of noise unloading ships. Anyway, here we are in the exact same place as I was last night in the golden hour, but this time we're shooting into the sun, or as the French like to say, contre-jour. According to my research, the sun should be striking the horizon directly behind the lighthouse from this point at an angle of 75 degrees. I'm using a traditional compass to work that out. But I used the PhotoPills app and the Photographer's Ephemeris to get my angles. Now, you'll notice that 90% of the time, my camera settings are basically the same for landscape photography. That's the easy part, taking the photo. The difficult part is actually getting to the location, being in the right place at the right time with the right light. Well, that's the end of the golden hour. Now it's time to sit back and relax and enjoy this slice of wilderness. I love it out here, watching the fishing trawlers chugging out to Tasman Bay, the seagulls circling overhead, and the lighthouse, of course. Anyway, now it's time to head home and post-process these photos. If you'd like to explore Ray's photography course, click the yellow button. Or watch the next episode, where Ray demonstrates the art of time blending at the iconic Boatshed Cafe in Nelson. He begins by shooting during the golden hour to capture the sunset sky, then continues through the blue hour shooting light trails, fusing both photographs together in Photoshop.